Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen, for joining us today. I know this is the fag end of the session. I was listening to the first, in fact, the last two, and got some points that I thought I'd mention. But just very quickly, by way of introduction, because I noticed some international listeners or speakers as well. The PSX, which is the Pakistan Stock Exchange, and I'm proud to say this, is the monopoly exchange in Pakistan. So 3 exchanges formed into one, renamed Pakistan Stock Exchange. It's majority owned by the Chinese, which is a combination of Shanghai, Shenzhen, and the China Futures Exchange, who collectively own 40% of PSX. In the previous, before I sort of start my own comments, I do want to thank PICG. They always do a fabulous job, pick out the best speakers. Always a pleasure being a part of PICG's events. And I was just reminiscing a few days ago about the Directors Summit that they had, I think a year ago, and telling them that this was one of the best conferences that I attended personally. And that's saying a lot, because as PSX MD, I get to attend a lot of conferences, in fact, maybe too many, and speak at a few as well. So a good a job well done, not only on ESG, but just corporate governance by PICG. Thank you very much again for inviting me. I sort of clicked in early, and I thought I'd just listen to Sadia's panel. So I'm emboldened that in one of the questions, the answer was no country, when she asked if there's a country which you would set as an example on who's doing well on ESG in terms of governance. So we have some catch up to do, but I'm emboldened that it's not that steep a curve. That's one. Two, I noticed Agnes mentioning change of mindset, education, awareness. Is all what is needed also in Pakistan. So as at the forefront of a listed universe, which is about 540 odd companies, and obviously a lot of companies in the private sector whose ambition is to list on the exchange. So we are the gatekeeper of the listed universe and of obviously a startup base which is starting to grow in the GEM board. So sustainability will remain at the forefront of how we think about things going forward. I just thought I'd start with that and then mention education and awareness raising becomes or is the key to advancing on this initiative. And it's events like these, wherever I go. For example, the last event like this was an inauguration of a green bond, which was the Sunrich Green Sukuk. And I mentioned there as well that unless we coordinate, I think I heard this as well. In fact, in one of the comments, I can still see it flashing in front of me. There's a recommendation to form a task force, although there is a task force already in play at the SECP. But a national one, I think, is a good recommendation to advance the subject of sustainability. But let me just very quickly tell you what the capital markets are up to in terms of sustainability. Firstly, obviously, a big thank you to SECP, because they're really guiding us. They're really showing us the way by taking a lead in terms of their role and effort in advancing the agenda of sustainability in Pakistan. So what started with an ESG roadmap, plus a sustainability portal, plus they've made some changes in corporate governance regulations over time as well. I will particularly mention SRO 920. I'm told, I think Musarat mentioned as well, some of the changes that we made or the amendments on corporate governance. But SRO 920, which is an amendment to corporate governance regulations of listed companies, which is encouraging the board to pick up this matter, which is called ESG. So both the board and management need to be continuously aligned on this important subject and integrated. Secondly, I also want to appreciate they have formed, because there's so much discussion around task force or the need for a task force, there is a sustainable finance advisory group that is in play, which has been tasked with this critical role of advancing sustainability. Because I represent PSX on that forum, I can tell you that this is also in play. The fact that people online are suggesting a task force. This is already in play at the moment at the regulator or the apex regulator level. There can't be a mention of financial markets without mentioning, obviously, the State Bank as well. So the State Bank has also done a lot of work around green taxonomy. The National Green Taxonomy Initiative is a State Bank initiative along with the Ministry of Climate Change. And really what it does, again, I'm just repeating some of the things that were discussed in the panel, is that it best promotes transparency and supports regulatory and supervisory oversight. And basically, it's trying to unlock the opportunities in Pakistan by giving more clarity and certainty in selecting green investments to people who are looking to go down this path. So a much needed initiative, because if you look at the need to decarbonize or those strategies or go to a net zero transition initiative, businesses will require a significant financing to decarbonize. I want to just very quickly mention two data points that I stumbled on, and I'm sure this is something that we mentioned earlier as well. So according to the World Bank, our GDP shrinks by 20% by 2050 if we do not address climate or treat it as an important subject. And the UNDP Common Country Analysis also says $340 odd billion financing is the gap that Pakistan sees in terms of climate mitigation and adaptation by 2030. So really the importance has been highlighted internationally. I think the apex regulators, both sides, either the SECP or State Bank, have picked that up, and that is what we are following. I keep mentioning the real issue is awareness raising and education, and I'm just repeating that because there was also an initiative. In fact, this is under PSX domain. I'll just jump to what we are up to. So we introduced the subject or awareness raising by one key initiative, which was the PSX ESG primer. That is now a year and a half old, which companies can use to understand risk and opportunities and basically get a guidance on what they need to know, what do they need to know, and what they need to report in terms of good sustainability reporting. And to ensure consistent and reliable disclosures, PSX advocates for ESG reporting guidelines that align with these SECP regulations. I also mentioned a JV which we have with Refinitiv, which is a London Stock Exchange initiative, where listed concerns can report their ESG initiatives and rank themselves. And that ranking is actually available to international investors as well. So it's a great tool that has been, thanks to a JV with the London Stock Exchange, that we have on our platform. The unfortunate reality is about 40 odd companies, listed concerns, have basically filed their sustainability initiatives on it. So many more to come, and as we raise awareness, as we raise education around this initiative, you will have a better performance there as well. With recommendation from PICG, because I remember I was dealing with ESG and with our company, top company performance awards, and asking them what should be the criteria under ESG. So what kind of weightage would we give to a company when we give them an award every year? And we've then finalized that, again, with discussion from PICG and advice from them at a 10% weightage. That's where we stand. On to my favorite subject, or one of my favorite subjects, which is gender diversity. I know, a lot of the companies, 87% of them have one female director at the moment. But I think it's time we move beyond tokenization. When I say tokenization, I mean there is empirical evidence that proves that diversity at the board level and in management basically helps increase, one, your profile, your culture, your profitability. So it's all documented, it's all proven. Despite that, yes, it's a good sign that 87% of the companies listed have one female director, but the question around the table should be why one? Why not two, or why not three, right? And to actually take advantage of the benefits of diversity. Also glad to report something that is being made mandatory by the SECP, which is the average gender pay gap ratio in Pakistan. And there, although my own PSX is, because PSX is listed as well, our own gender pay gap is 11.37%. The KSE 100's gender pay gap is 10.67%. These are 64 odd percent of the companies who have reported out of the 100. The rest will report they have a June year end. But I think the data will not be too different from what we have. But what is disappointing is what I see in front of me. This is my report card at 11.37%. I can also tell you why, because a lot of very few women in the workforce at the middle and top tier level at the PSX. So as a listed concern, I'm cognizant. This is something we're working on. And obviously our chairperson is also a lady. She happens to be your chairperson as well. So with help from her, we will continue to work on this score and improve it. The total companies that are reported up till now, I'm just repeating, is 373, and about 40 odd companies to go because their year end is June. But I'm more excited to tell you there are actually companies which will give you a negative because what they basically pay their female employees better than they pay their male employees. There are 19 such companies, and there's no points for guessing what those companies are. There's some of the best managed companies, whether it's Hub Power, there's Lucky Cement, there's Engro. All of these companies are part of the companies that have actually a better pay gap ratio or a negative pay gap ratio, female versus male. Also, ESG index. I remember, in this current panel discussion, there was some mention of other exchanges. We are taking a lot of information. We are taking a lot of advice from exchanges that have done extremely well on ESG, we think. So the Turkish exchange, when we come to it, and Thailand have been two exchanges we have used extensively to try and judge how we will go about making this ESG index. The first, I think, documentation will be on the SECP's table, hopefully a few weeks from now. So I think September 30th is our internal deadline. And then we will move forward, hopefully, once they come back to us with a launch at some stage soon. Also, because ESG ties in very closely with Islamic finance. That is also a favorite topic at the PSX, because we now have 3 odd trillion rupees worth of sukuks, which are listed on the PSX. But on our journey of ESG, I need to just remind people, we've done quite a bit. I think starting with the gender bond, which was Infra Zamin and Kashf Foundation. And then you have the green bond from Parwaz. Then you had the sovereign green sukuk, which is the government of Pakistan. That's a 31 odd billion rupee sukuk, which will be used for financing infrastructure projects. Also, I need to tell people, when we were doing the launch of this, we also had a word, because there was some talk of municipal bonds. We've also been engaged with the municipality in Sindh, and they've actually taken this to heart. They are seriously considering, I think there was a press clipping on this as well, they are seriously considering using the capital market to finance some of their needs as well in the green space. And then most recently, you had the Agri Infra Sukuk, which was the Sunridge Foods Sukuk. Again, Infra Zamin was the party that brought it to our fore. So a lot is happening at the PSX on both green specifically and on Islamic finance. I will say that and conclude on just one note. Clearly, it's a long road ahead. I'm emboldened that it's conferences like these where we have international speakers to guide us on what we need to do, because this is not a one-time action. It has to be continuous commitment that various stakeholders make. And at PSX, we're also proud that we are partnering with not only the London Stock Exchange, but also UN Women, the UN Sustainable Stock Exchanges Initiative. So we're really aligning Pakistan's capital markets with global sustainability ambitions. So together, I mean, this is really my final comment, we can shape a greener, more resilient and inclusive economy. and all of us combined will hopefully make that happen. Thank you very much again, PICG, for inviting me to speak at this event, and thank you everybody for your listening.